choice. For those of you that God has gifted in several areas, sometimes I think we get paralyzed because we think, well, I need to go here exclusively, or I need to do that exclusively. Why do you need to do anything exclusively? All you need is better focus and better time management. Whatever it is that God has assigned you to do, guess what? You can do it. So Alisa Inspires, my company, is about writing because I inspire people to do that. One of the things that I've been able to do corporately and now independently is I develop films. I did a public service announcement for HIV and AIDS last year, and I have another project that I'm working on completing before the end of this year in film. So Alisa inspires through film. Alisa inspires through music. I have been singing all of my life. As I mentioned, I can't think of a time in my life that I wasn't singing. When people ask me, when did you start? I don't know when I started. I was probably humming something in my mother's womb. And so I decided that, you know what? I'm going, and this is what I'm calling your audience of authentic chicks and all the guys joining us as well to do is take yourself more seriously. It's time for us to take ourselves more seriously. If God has gifted you to do something, I don't know if your audience is 3 people, 30 people, 300,000 people, or 3 million people.
Come on here.
Guess what? The results don't matter. The results don't matter. Divorce yourself from the results. And why do I say that? I say that because often we get stuck. We get stuck thinking that if I don't have a super enormous harvest when I get started, why even begin? Guess what? If we change one person's life, 5 people's lives, 30 people's lives, we truly would have made a difference. And guess what I found? The more I step into my greater, the more people truly are inspired, the more God absolutely blows my mind. When I wrote Greater the song, I wasn't in a great place. Now, the rhythm of the song, the beat of the song, and thank God for Marcus Davis.
Yes.
I thank God. Marcus Davis is my producer. And so I sang the song to him. I was on a plane and I was feeling very small, very, very, very small. And so I started thinking of these lyrics. You know, opened my eyes, jumped out of the bed. Come on, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders, on my shoulders. Okay, shake it off. Get in the flow. I'm stressing. Oh, I'm absolutely stressing, but I'm dressing. But I'm wrapped up. I'm dressing not just in my clothes, I'm wrapped up in his will. Mercy said, he loves you. You may not feel love today, Lee, but he loves you. And Grace, Mercy's partner, said, clap back. Here's the deal. So the chorus says, greater is he that lives in me. And it repeats itself. Why? So that your soul can hear you. Sometimes, as a teacher, I use planned redundancy. I'm not repeating something just to be repeating something. I'm repeating it so that your mind, your will, your emotions, everything in you can hear you say, scream to your circumstances, you are alive, but my future is not. Why? Because greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. You know, the second verse of the song, there's a line that I love so much. It says, leading, bleeding, damaged. Right? How
Mm.
many of us feel that way?
Come on
That we're
here.
leading and bleeding at the same time. Right? We're leading. We're going forth in life. You know, we're making things happen. We're driving down the street. We're making things happen on our jobs, making things happen with our families, but we're bleeding at the same time. Damaged is the next word in the song. Leading, bleeding, damaged, wearing a mask,
Hmm.
right? And that's how I felt. I felt like I'm moving forward, right? But yet I'm hurting. Life has not turned out the way I thought it would. Anybody out there feel like that? That I'm leading, I'm bleeding, I'm damaged, wearing a mask. But what I love about the song and what I love about God said, what God said to me is he said, lift up your hands, surrender now at last. And then we come back again and say, greater.
Yeah.
Greater is he that lives in me. And that all we have to do is surrender to his will. And I'm not going to say that's going to be easy every day because it's not. Yeah, I wish I could tell you that all you have to do is just kind of walk around with a new mantra and a new affirmation. It's still tough. But as you take steps toward your future, let me tell you what I've learned. I've learned that God will give you a confirmation. You'll get a confirmation. You'll get what I call love letters. You'll get a love letter. There'll be a moment, and it may just be a brief one, but it might even be a commercial, a sign, a phone call, a text. Every time, one of the things that I've done recently is not just a song, but I've been creating dialogues. I've been doing that via conferencing. I've been giving people a place to have a conversation because I'm gifted to do that. I've
Yeah.
been doing that since I was 23 years old. And yet I had not created my own stage and my own opportunity
Mhm.
to share my own message that God had given me. There hasn't been a year since I was 23 years old that I haven't been the MC, a featured guest, an organizer, in some way involved in structuring, planning, developing a film for a conference since I was 23. Don't you have a message? That's what
Hmm.
God said to me. Don't you have a message? Isn't there something that God has called you to? For some of us, it's entrepreneurship. For some of us, it's the way that you lead your family. For some of us, it's leveling up on your 9 to 5. But what is it that God has called you to do? Why don't you get to it? That's what greater is about. Greater the song, greater the conference, which is really a large dialogue. It's about encouraging and empowering people to level up and take yourself seriously. And it's remembering that you can do all of those things, not because you're powerful in your own strength, but because we serve a God who is powerful. And if the creator of the universe lives inside you, what can't you accomplish? Really? Really? Who
Come
are
on.
we afraid of? Who are we afraid of? Sometimes I think we don't do things. I do live a blessed life. God has blessed me to have all kinds of associations and friendships and acquaintances with people who chart, who are all over the gospel charts, with people who have literally have Grammys in their living room. I know all kinds of people who do that. And so, a part of me was like, well, what will they say? Well, now my question to you and question to myself eventually was, and who are they? who are they? Any gift they have is because I gave it to them, said the Lord. And so what you have is good enough. That's another message for greater. What you have is good enough. There is an audience that is waiting for you. And guess what else? Here's another part of this. You will be held accountable for everything he gave you that you didn't put to work.
Ooh,
Anything that you didn't do that he gave you to do. And I believe that we ought to support people. I believe that we ought to support ministry. I do. I believe that we ought to help one another, but especially for my authentic chicks, for my girlfriends, for my god sisters out there. Sometimes it's easier to hide behind somebody else's vision instead of walking out your own. What did God give you to do? That's what is greater about? How did greater get written? Greater got written because I stood off a stage filled with everything on the inside of me that I just shared with you. And I partnered with a friend who said, let's make it happen. And as a result, Marcus Davis and I were able to make this happen and then share with the world that greater is he that lives inside you than he that's in the world. So there's no obstacle too big, there's no wall too high, no river too, the song, no river too wide to keep you away from your goals. It's time to be about it. It's time to stop daydreaming and it's time to live the dream. That is what greater is about.
everybody, you can clap. You can pass your offering. You can pass the offering plate. You can send it to. You can send it via Cash App. Thank you.
See?
Cash App. Thank you for give. I'm just saying, all of that is so awesome because when I've been calling myself the authentic chick for it's been over a year, probably longer, I think. And at the end of July, God completely wrecked my life and was like, "Yeah, no, that who you say you are, no, yeah, the authentic chick, yes, but who you are saying is the authentic chick, not so much." So what I'm gonna
Right.
need you to do is go through this process and discover who the authentic chick is that I called and created her to
Right.
be, and who she's
Right.
supposed to be. So the things I have in her will manifest, and you walk up and you're this new person. And because, like you said, it was really easy for me to be in the background. It was really
Yeah.
easy for me to be like, I'm gonna let everybody else shine. Y'all do you. I'm good back here. I'll support you. I will serve you until I have nothing else to serve. But I'm back here. I'm okay. And this year, God just decides to say, yeah, we're done with that. And being
Right.
able now, just fresh out of these 60 days, I'm just like, wow, you just like that, Jesus, you just shift my whole entire world. And I look and like, this is who I was supposed to be. Well, now look, Lord, I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know that this was it. And so, yes, living that greater. And like you said, he called me to be the authentic chick.
Yes.
And so even though I was walking in a place where I wasn't the authentic chick he said I was still calling myself that in the midst of all of the performing that I was doing and all of the people pleasing and all of the trying to take a step back and let everybody else shine that I had going on in my life. And so my desire is just like you, for people to be greater and live their greater. You, or like I said on our post, in order to be greater, you got to be authentic, because you can't.
Right.
They go together. And so for people to be
I
able to
agree.
create an authentic moment, one moment at a time, is just, because I didn't do this podcast out of, well, let me see how many people are going to follow and subscribe. I did
Exactly.
completely out of the obedience to God that said, not only are you going to go through this journey, you're going to do it, and you're going to do it publicly.
I
And
love it.
it didn't matter who did or who didn't listen, but just the fact that, okay, God, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. And so we are here. And so I'm just, look, you got me all stirred up over here.
I
I'm
love
in
it.
Arkansas.
Listen, I love it. And that's what I want our audience to be feeling right now. I want you to get stirred up. I want you to get impassioned. Too many of us are walking around on automatic pilot. Where's your passion? Where's your creativity? And let me tell you something. If you're bored to life, right, then I have a feeling that you're not tapped in. You're
Hmm.
not tapped because he created us to have life and to have it more abundantly. An
Yes.
abundant life. An abundant life. So are you walking in passion? Are you excited about, is there anything about your life that gets you excited about? Something that you would work for even if you would do it for free. And frankly, even scares you a little bit. I'm not talking about the bad kind of fear. I'm talking about the good kind of fear that pushes you to be your very best. Part of what I've done is help people tell their stories, as a speech coach. And often what I'll say to people is that there's nothing wrong with having butterflies. Just get the butterflies flying in alignment. You know what I
Yes.
mean? If you have the kind of butterflies that lock you down and shut you down, then we come against all that kind of negative fear. That's not good. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is something, a goal so big and scary that you know you can't do it by yourself. If God said that it's not good for us to be alone. I know for a fact that I would not be here without the partnership of authentic chicks like yourself. I wouldn't be where I am without the partnership of men of valor. It took partnership. At our very first conference, we had over 100 attendees, and I would say at least 20 volunteers. If you're going somewhere great, you can't go there by yourself.
Come
So,
on
one
here.
of the things that you can do to help you with your fear is to get an accountability partner, to purposely surround yourself. This is not confusing. The scripture is clear. What do we need to think about? Be around people that can help you think about whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report. Think on these things, not
Yeah.
people that drag you down to their circumstances. All of us need to be lifted up. Now, I'm not saying that we can't be real and call a thing a thing. What I'm saying is feel what you feel, but now let's move forward. Feel what you feel, but let's move forward. What am I
Yes.